What's cooking Wednesday? Open to new name ideas for this call, by the way. We just had to have a W to start it, so that's the best I could do off the top of my head. Share some wins in the chat. Anything maybe diet related would be nice to helpful to get the conversation going. Anything that made your diet easier or your cap easier to hit would be super helpful to what we're focused on today. We got Jason driving, Alana's here, Martha, Abby representing, Donna, Colleen, Alana. Okay, a few more trickling in. So we'll try to make this interactive, but my fallback is I do have some sample food logs loaded up anonymously, so I don't call people out. Okay, we got better snack choices, Martha. Nice. What would those be? If you don't mind sharing in the chat or on mute, what's working better for you?
Just kind of having better snack choices ready. Like that energy ball recipe you shared wasn't a lot, but it's good. It doesn't hit the crunch factor, but it hits the sweetness factor. So, um, quick and easy and pretty healthy. So just making sure I have healthier choices ready and keeping the bad choices out of the house is really the only thing that's going to help me. Oh,
Yeah, the bigger you can make your main meals too, the less likely you'll kind of crave those in between snacks. I still need it. There's certain times of
yeah.
the day I like to have something, but I
Well,
find
and I'm finding
Mhm.
like I always have like three meals and a snack plan. But if I haven't hit it's not my protein. For those that are just starting at the beginning, hitting my protein was so hard. And now some days I'm like, oh, I have to be careful because now I'm way over in my protein. But if I'm under in my calories, I'm trying to go to that versus, worse
Right.
choices. So, it's more that. So
Yeah.
I try and get it in before 8 if I notice that I am under in calories.
Gotcha. Yeah, timing makes a difference. Yeah, you're in a kind of different phase than others who are struggling to stay within a limit. You're looking for more calories elsewhere. So
Yeah.
makes sense that there's new challenges that pop up. Peanuts. Yeah, careful with the peanuts. I like the ones with the shell. Donna, that's a good tip because peanuts have a lot of calories, even though they're defined as a healthy snack. So easy to like throw down 400, 500, 600 calories without even breaking a sweat. All right, so you know yourself best. If moderating isn't possible with those, best we don't even crack them open. Yeah. So those husbands are always to blame, eh, Alana? Nice. So
One
today,
thing,
why?
just sorry, before you dive in, one thing I
Yeah.
do instead of peanuts, and I don't know if you like pistachios, they have a lot less calories, and I weigh them and then, to whatever the calorie serving amount is, I find it makes a difference. I mean, peanuts I don't know, they're so fatty that I really try and avoid them if I
Mhm.
can. So just a thought
Yeah,
if
I'd
you like
rather
that
use up my
crunchy
calories
something.
on something sweet. That's me personally, though. Some people prefer salty. So yeah, trying to find an alternative. I'll send my sexy swaps list that gives you alternatives for almost anything. More protein heavy. That was on one of my items on the agenda today. I'm looking through it now. Yeah. So why is hitting your calories and protein at the same time feel hard? It won't for you forever, but certainly if you're early in this process, especially if your calories are quite low, to strike that balance, like the average North American diet is heavy on carbs and fats and very low on protein. So you have to really be proactive to make those numbers work. So I think, and Abby, chime in if you have anything else, but like under eating early creates this protein panic at the end of the day when it's like trying to shovel in 80 grams. Like we need to have a big dose in the first meal of the day. And whatever gets you there is what you need to kind of lean on. For me, that's protein powder because it's super convenient and easy. I can make a smoothie with 50 grams of protein, and now I'm a quarter of the way to my goal. You want to at least be a third or a quarter of the way to your goal before noon, right? So it's not necessarily, yeah, it's more so under planning and not having that kind of structure where you make protein the focus of every meal. You should not be having a meal that's devoid of protein. It's not complete at that point, right? Anything else that jumps out, Abby, before I move into the samples?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. My internet connection was saying, yeah, and I think I'm not saying men aren't guilty of this, but mostly women are guilty of filling their day with like snacks and these high calorie items that are low in protein, like crackers and granola bars and lattes and those things can add up very quickly, and that doesn't leave you much room for more calories, hence you're not hitting your protein because none of those things have protein in them. Um, and protein to me, it takes intention. So if you're not hitting your protein, you're frankly just not prioritizing it. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be a little tough love. You're eating things that you like better before protein, and then, frustrated and upset that you're not hitting that protein goal and you're going way over calories. Um, so it's just when you're starting out, especially, it is difficult because most people are not used to eating, you know, and I would say we even give people lower targets to shoot for, but the like you said, standard North American diet just is not, it's more high processed items that are higher fat, higher carb. So protein takes intention. It's not just going to accidentally show up at the end of the day. You have to plan it, you have to prioritize it, and you have to center your meals around it. So whether it's a snack, whether it's a meal, um, the first thing that should be in your brain is where's my protein before anything else. Where's my protein? Um, and we want to start with building our meals with our protein source first. Um, Also tracking and pre-planning. That's really how you always hit your protein goal. If you can see the numbers and you can see that you already hit it before the day starts, you don't have to think about it. You just execute on what you have. And then I would say opt for more meals versus snacks. If you have to have a little bit of something, I think like Martha said, 3 meals and a snack, and I have a snack, but I make sure that it's at least 20 grams of protein. If I am going to choose something during the day that's a snack, but make sure that when you are choosing your snacks, that's when people choose the pretzels or the crackers or whatever, and we'll choose a Greek yogurt and some fruit, or we'll choose a protein shake. Like those things at the forefront makes it, I don't know, dare I say, easy to hit your protein when you're thinking about things or those kind of things early on. So I would say if you're not hitting your protein and you're going over calories, you're not making it a priority. So it's time to start making it a priority.
Nailed it. Yeah. And if you're getting a ton of cravings at night, I would look at the structure or timing of your meals because it might just be biology. You're way under eating and you're mainlining caffeine all morning, all day. No wonder you get home and you're starving. You can't, help yourself from raiding the pantry. So protein heavy breakfast. Try not to skip that lunch. Have a sit down meal or at least something on the go that checks all the boxes. And then that should carry you forward to making better choices in the evening. I wrote down like have single serving staples at the ready that don't require a lot of prep, like Fairlife milk, like high protein milk, if that's your thing, awesome. Those tuna pouches, rotisserie chicken. Like in my case, I do like a whey powder and a shake. Easy for me to make, and it's such low fat and carbs, right? Hard to find that anywhere else. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would add some to the chat if you have any, like those single ingredient options that are easy to grab and go. Obviously, we prefer you guys prep in advance to some degree, but if you have
Mhm.
protein-rich snacks, options that can fill the gaps, that's a really
Mhm.
helpful way to go about it.
Do you guys in Canada have like the Oikos or the Chobani? Like we have the single serving like little Greek yogurts.
A lot
Um,
of them are flavored, but there should be, yeah, better options that are fairly plain or light or reduced
yeah, I
sugar.
mean we have like I have one right now that's like Chobani where it's like lactose free and it actually is pretty good, to be honest. Got a little bit more carbs. They're 140 calories, but 20 grams of protein. So that's like my go-to for when I'm craving something after dinner at night or even during the day. And you can just take it wherever, is a really simple and easy way.
Yeah, and protein bars and those premium protein shakes, the bars can be hit or miss. You got to be careful with those. but the shakes that come already pre-mixed, those can be
Yeah.
pretty good, right? Fill the
Well,
gap.
those are, I love the excuse of when people either travel or they forgot their lunch or like whatever. And I don't know about in Canada, but at gas stations, those pre-made drinks are lined up. So there's like no excuse to not, I mean, we have them all over the place. You can go, yeah, they're pricey. Like, don't forget your lunch next time or whatever. But they have the core power ones that are like 45 grams of protein, if you're in a binder, you're in a pinch. So, but another one of the easiest ways is to take the amount that you're already eating and double it. If you're having 2 ounces of chicken, have 4 ounces in a meal. And then you got to decrease from maybe somewhere else, like, decrease with the nuts or the carb sources that you're having. But I just think pre-tracking, pre-planning is one of the easiest ways. And it takes decision fatigue out too. So
Yeah, and then you just take your protein goal for the day and divide it up by 4 feedings, or 3 if you're just a 3 square meal person. And then that gives you the number you need to hit each time. And the app will even break it down percentage wise. I can actually, might as well share now. Where, right, you're looking at your percentages per meals. We want protein at least at 30% of your macros, or else it's going to be hard to strike that balance between calories and protein. So this is an example one where that fell short. So maybe I quiz you guys. What do you think caused the issue here? I'm scrolling maybe a little bit too fast, but I'm gonna highlight the snacks to give it away here, because that's often where people get tripped up. They have good whole food meals, and then their snack is mixed nuts, honey roasted, and I bet it was more than 2 ounces. And that's still 324 calories. And then we got a peanut butter marshmallow square, which oddly enough was almost the exact same calories. So she's trying to make the numbers fit here, it sounds like. So likely speaking, that's where things went haywire. You can still have snacks. We want that, but try to think protein heavy, protein bars, and the swaps list I'll send you at the end of this. But we've got a few options in the chat there with Built at Costco. Oh, Pure Protein too are pretty good, pretty cost effective. Yeah. So how would you guys approach this differently with your snacks? Like, what would be a better fit here that would get the numbers up on protein without blowing the calories out of the water?
And Mitch, can I ask a quick question here?
Yeah, go for it.
Is it okay, like, for my morning for breakfast, I love having like 3 eggs, usually like half a cup of cottage cheese, and I don't know, a piece of bread usually, or toast or something like that. And I usually have one of those Fairlife protein shakes later on in the day as a snack. Would it be okay if I also had like a protein shake with breakfast and still have that protein drink later on, or is that too much of that type of stuff?
What matters is like your totals at the end of the day. So if you're hitting your protein goal, it doesn't so much matter. I know there was some back in the day, they used to say, oh, if you eat more than 30 grams of protein per meal, you're just peeing it away. And they've shown as much as 90 grams, albeit that was after a workout, was still utilized. It just took longer to be absorbed. It wasn't pissed away. So what matters is totals of the day. That might give you more fullness till lunch, which actually might work in your favor. And I'm not one to say, oh, you have to have one shake or mix whole foods and liquids. Kind of play around with it. And if your hunger's higher than you think it should be, then we want to defer more to whole foods. But if that helps you get to your total protein for the day, I'm all for it.
Yeah, because I find like I usually work out in the morning or go for like a longer walk, and then I'm absolutely starving after that. So I figure if I kind of up that protein in the morning with a shake with breakfast, that it might help me fill that void until lunch.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes I think of the biggest meal as being the one after workout. Your body's just sensitive to storing it in the right place. So that would be the time to really load up on both carbs and proteins, frankly. And then that should tide you over and not, lead to more hunger the rest of the day. You're trying to chase it. Good. Hopefully that answers the question. Anyone have anything to add to that? That's worked for them. I'm going to move on to a successful food log, and then hopefully maybe someone will volunteer. We can actually go through it. All right. So hopefully I'm keeping this anonymous. I don't think anyone's name's on here. Hopefully. So this one is where the targets were hit. and protein accounted for 36% of the total macros for the day. So that's significant, which is about right. We wanted about a third, right? So in this case, we have a big dose of cottage cheese and 3 eggs. In some cases, if we're working with less calories, we'll try to cut down the total whole eggs and maybe supplement with egg whites. Maybe it's 1 egg and a half cup of egg whites and mix it together. It still tastes like an egg. That's an idea if you feel like 3 eggs isn't something you can really afford calorie wise. But in this case, they have a bit more calories to work with than the average member. And then lunch looks like it's just a standard sandwich. Big emphasis on this. They topped up their totals with that Fairlife protein shake. Okay, so if you're not eating enough purely meat, 3 slices of turkey breast is not going to get the job done. That's what helped bump those numbers up. And then again, good job here was the snacks end up being, a little better than these bars aren't the best, but at least it has 20 grams of protein in it. Cranked energy bar. And they're apparently using the 204 meal prep that we have to deal with. Cool. So that works out for them. Anything that jumps out on this that creates questions for you guys? Otherwise, I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, that's mine. I'll ask it right now. When it comes to bread, does it matter between the white bread, whole wheat bread? Yesterday I went to the grocery store and I was looking at the carbs and everything and the calories between white bread, and I was raised, don't eat white bread, it's terrible for you. Then I looked at the calorie counts. I'm like, what the deuce? This is actually lower calories than what the whole wheat bread is. So is there a huge difference between what I'm using for bread? Like this time I went with that Harvest, no sugar, yada, yada, yada. I probably paid for the name on the bag more than anything, but I'm just curious.
I say personal preference, unless you have like an intolerance to gluten or something, then you have to be selective. But yeah, it's just calories at the end of the day. Whole wheat might have a little bit more fiber, but a lot of whole wheat from a grocery store is processed similar to white bread anyway. So I still generally do whole wheat or rye, but honestly, I would do whatever you're going to look forward to, because at the end of the day, the calories aren't much different from one to the next. There's like sprouted grains and high protein breads. You're going to spend a lot more for those, and they're probably a little bit better for you. But I don't tend to major in the minors on that. I don't know about you, Abby, if you tell people to avoid bread or not. I don't think so, but it's one of those things that I would kind of see how you feel afterwards. If you digest it well, hell, do what you prefer. All good there? White bread all the way? Is that what we're hearing? Okay. All right. Any other questions? Who wants to get audited? Should we open up your food log? Look through it. No big hands raised for that one. I know.
You can do mine if you want.
All right.
No idea what it's going to look like, but sure.
Okay, cool. Let me just open it up and then screen share. Yesterday work?
Yeah, I don't know if it didn't seem to log my snacks, but sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a couple days back. It didn't seem to load certain things for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Okay, so this is the 23rd, so yeah, close. So protein at 30%. So yeah, walk us through it. What do you like about your meal plan here, Martha?
I think I do, like Abby said at the beginning, I plan around my protein. That PB2 smoothie has about 31 or 32 grams of protein in it. So, and it's good and it's easy. It's got cucumbers, it's got spinach, it's got a banana. Pretty quick and easy to make, and I find it fills me and I feel good. I do try and do a lighter, lower calorie, higher protein something at lunch, like tilapia, lots of protein, but lower calorie, like lots of protein. And Costco sells them. I just kind of do them in the air fryer pretty quick. And then some kind of leftover extra stuff for the rest. I always try and do a veggie, sometimes a carb at lunch, sometimes not. If I'm going to skip a carb, it's probably going to be at lunch. Because I like to have something like that with dinner, but I did have rice. You can see some brown rice at lunch as well. I had some leftovers, so I threw it in there.
Okay, yeah. Very
Um,
small.
what's that?
Very small amount.
Yeah, not a lot at all. I had a little bit left over, so I had it. And again, I start planning with my those beef tornadoes. Costco sells those. They're all each steak is individually packaged. Pretty
Nice.
high in protein, a great perfect portion. So that's kind of a go-to through the summer and not
Mhm.
ridiculously expensive like some steak is right now. I
Yeah.
tend not to do a ton of beef, but maybe 1 or 2 nights a week I'll try and do beef. I don't know. Some people say too much red meat is not good, but it's more a preference. Like I do like chicken, I do like fish. So, and then always a potato, and as I said, a carb in there, like with potato and a veggie, always a little bit of butter and sour cream just because I like it and it makes it taste good.
Hmm.
Um, and then my snack is pretty standard. This is where like, my poor snack choices sometimes come into play. Like I do crave that crunch, but I save some room in my calories. If I want some chips, I'll throw some chips in there. Um, and then always some fruit. Those built, I don't know if people have tried them. I really like them, those built protein bars. And I think the calorie to protein ratio, they're not 20 grams of protein, but I think they're 17 and the calories are 140. So
Yeah,
I
that kind of
enjoy
evens
them
out.
and yeah,
Ratios are pretty
so
similar. Yeah.
yeah, so I think it's a good ratio. Like you say you want that if you add a zero to the protein, it should be more than the calories, right? So it's kind of how
Hmm.
I look at them. And then always some fruit for my snacks, those quick energy bites when I'm really they kind of make me feel a little more full and I know they're healthy because I'm making them.
Hmm.
And then those fruit pops, like gives you a little bit of sweetness, but they're really just basically all fruit. You can buy them at Costco.
Yeah.
So kind of my day.
Yeah, I like it. It kind of illustrates the 80-20, flexible, mostly whole foods with 20% fun, still making largely good choices. You could swap this for Greek yogurt. Have you tried that? Does it
I
satisfy for
have,
you? Yeah, not the
I
same.
have, I have. I mean,
Yeah.
the calories are so
You're only
low.
using a tablespoon,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not using, I really, and I am pretty conscious of like truly measuring it out. That was one thing that I found. You can't guess on the
Yeah.
extras. You have to either use a tablespoon or weigh it. You can't guess because that's where things start to go sideways if you think you're only
Yeah.
putting a tablespoon in and it's 4 tablespoons. Right?
You totally, yeah. Especially with the added fats, peanut butters, sour creams, or
Yeah,
less so sour cream, but yeah,
yeah,
for sure that's the stuff that gets people in trouble. They don't count the oil they put in the pan. That could be 150, 200 calories. And yeah,
yeah,
it's the hidden bites, licks, and tastes as well. So
yeah.
you've got that down at this point. And I like that there's a good variety. There's fruit, there's still some treats. And kudos for actually measuring Lay's. That would be tough for me to do. So
Yeah, yeah,
nice. Good. Anything to add to this, Abby? It's a pretty solid example. I mean, obviously she has more calories to work with now because she's lost most of the weight. Was in maintenance here, but yeah, good example to share nonetheless. How to balance things out, still have your fun. Good. Okay, sorry, I haven't looked in the chat, but I think there's some good ideas from previously going in there. All right, anything else? Anyone else want to get their questions answered? You're all going to be acing your cap now. Maybe. Not so easy, is it? Yeah, I hear you. I see Jose is on now too. Nice. All right, so we'll get a cheat sheet out that kind of summarizes this call with I was hoping it would just be AI generated, but it's not looking so lucky. It's giving me a bunch of spelling errors. So all of our jobs are safe for a little while yet. AI is not perfect. So we'll send that out afterwards with the replay. Anything else? Last questions? You guys are all dialed in? Okay, let's take that as a yes. Keep rocking. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.